Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Early this morning, what we're going to talk about is double jaws versus laminated jaws, um, pros and cons, and some of the basics. I'm just going to show you what they are. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, first thing, it's a double jaw. You can see here, it's still got a little bit of hair, probably got a skunk in this one. So you see the double jaw is essentially these little pieces underneath here which distribute or disperse the power when the trap closes. Also, what these do is it stops them from it helps prevent twisting and chewing. And I know some will say they don't chew, but a skunk will chew. Right, a skunk is a chewer. Man, they are blind. The first thing they try to do is chew. And possums with their twisting motions. I'm not a fan of catching them, but this double jaw will help disperse that power so it doesn't cut into the skin at all, and they can twist without having near as many issues. So this is a double jaw trap, and this is what they look like. Okay, this one just happens to be a Duke 1.5 double jaw. Okay, so double jaw, they work very well. I'll cover that more here in a second. All right, and here is a laminated jaw. Now I bought this one like this. They look different. Some guys weld wire on top. Sometimes you can buy kits and weld the sections, right? But laminated jaws, essentially what you're doing is you're adding to the jaw on the top, again, to help disperse the power. Now, with that being said, you still have nothing underneath there, but we'll go into that more here in a second. That is what laminated jaws look like. This is just one, for instance. They look different, if they've got more welds or if it's thicker steel. But on this one, they just use wire, and you can just use wire too. Works well. Okay, so let's get started with. Now you know what double jaw and laminated jaws look like. Now, it's both of them are used to disperse the power and prevent different things. Okay, now let's talk about some pros and cons to them. All right, double jaw. I like to use these on the smaller critters. Okay, I'm talking skunks, possum, raccoon. I like raccoon with them from the front foot, back foot. It's a little, I still get them like that, but there's less room to fit that back foot in. I like them for mink. I like them for muskrat. Smaller animals. The reason being I don't like them as much for the bigger animals is because once you set them, and I'll go ahead and set this so I can show you guys. Once you set a double jaw, well, it looks like the pan's a little jacked on this one, so of course out of all the ones, that's the one I pick. There it is. Okay. Yeah, this one's gonna need some work. Went through some stuff. Anyways, you see here the double jaw. The one downside to them is there's not a lot of room between the pan and the actual second jaw underneath. All right, so some of your bigger stuff like coyotes, cats, what they could essentially do is step on the edge of the jaw and the edge of the pan, and it could throw their foot a little bit. Okay, give you a close-up view of that. All right, so that, not saying these won't catch. I've caught bobcats and coyotes in these. So yeah, that's a definite possibility. But I prefer smaller animals with the double jaw because of that factor. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. Not saying you can't catch them, just saying, that's why I like the double jaw for the smaller animals. Now, with the laminated jaw, once it's set, the gap between the pan and the jaw doesn't increase any. Now, guys, another thing is with laminated outside jaws, you can have laminated inside jaws as well. Now, essentially what that is somewhat like a double jaw, but again, it disperses the power, and as long as the gap's good enough between the pan and the jaw when it's set, That's all you're really looking for your bigger animals, you know, like let's say beaver, coyotes, so on and so forth. Okay, so if you're wondering my preference, I like laminated jaws on coyotes, cats, um, beaver, um, you know, stuff like that. Also, another factor you need to remember, there's a few factors, is how comfortable is that animal going to be and how much fight is that animal going to give. Like I said, you know, if you've got a beaver on 10 foot of chain and you got laminated jaws, you're probably pretty good, right? Because they're going to be pretty comfortable. They're not going to fight a lot. Now, if you've got that same beaver on 1 foot of chain, they're going to fight quite a bit more. Okay, so but these laminated jaws and double jaws can help with these situations. It helps with animal comfort, and that's why I prefer the double jaw for the smaller animals and the laminated jaw for the bigger. Okay, that could vary some by situation though. So guys, at the end of the day, what I want you to do is take some of this information, if you would, for me, that I'm presenting to you, and I want you to actually think about it for what you're using it for. I want you to evaluate what animal you're trapping, the situation you're going to be using it for, and if you can apply it to your situation. That is my goal. I don't want to miseducate you. I want to give you good information and let you form your own opinion. That's what makes us great as trappers, forming our own systems and developing our own characteristics, I guess would be the way I'd say it. So double jaw versus laminated jaw, I like them both, and I like them for different scenarios. The one downside to double jaw, no, I told you the one downside to double jaw. One downside to just having an upper laminated jaw is if you catch a skunk in this, right, there's all this gap, they could chew their foot. Okay, so just be aware of that. But it still helps, laminated jaw does. And then you have your standard jaws. You know, some of them are coming thicker nowadays, which does help disperse the power of the trap firing. So, you know, altogether, this is some good information. Hope it helps. And we're all here to go out there, have fun, but we want these animals, you know, as comfortable as possible when we come on them. So anyways, that's today's video. Hope it helps you. See you on the next one. Thanks, guys.